Oli James evaluation. So my original plan for this short film was to begin with showing the bullying at a younger stage and then moving on to the later stage of their life where they get revenge on their bully, which is what I did show in my short film. But then I decided that I would not be able to find the actors or the locations or have the time to create my full plan of catching the murderer and showing how the detective tracks her down and how they did it each bit by bit. So I then decided to include Emma Jackson, her best friend of the best friend of Becky Gibson, who is our main character and our murderer, into the murder scene with the detective, as there was only one eyewitness, and that coincidentally seems to be Emma Jackson. You can see clearly in the back of the murder scene to prove that she was an eyewitness, but she doesn't truthfully tell Detective Gary Linsdale what the murderer looks like or what she saw. She told it all correctly in terms of what happened, but not who did it. Now this story was sent off for the detective, and that's why I left it on a cliffhanger, because I knew I wouldn't have time to create the mystery for him to find out who actually murdered Taylor Murray, played by Vincent Hemmingsley. So that is why I changed my plan, my original plan, and moved away from it, because it worked better towards my time frame and how I could create it to its best ability. I personally worked alone. I did all the pre-planning and all the research, but I worked with a couple of great actors that really added to their roles. Brendan Vaughan playing Detective Gary Linsdale, who also played a role in my previous short film, The Following. And I reoccurred going back to these people because they were such good actors and added to each of their characters, as well as Vincent Hemmingsley, who also played a key part. My two main actors were Vincent Hemmingsley and Lottie Roberry, as they both could portray what I really needed them to do. I also got the use of family friends, Minnie Woodward and Charlie Glennon, to play the before younger roles of each of Taylor Murray and Becky Gibson. This showed the clear age difference between them and made it clear that there was a time gap between the filmings. My role personally, I was director, camera, editor, everything you could sort of say. I edited it, camera filmed it, directed it. And personally, I feel like I could have improved on my directing ability, as I didn't quite get the emotion out of some of the actors I would like on watching it back. I thought my editing was good. I felt that in areas it could have improved, maybe use slightly less music in my short film, as well as using more of the natural sounds to create different sort of tension and emotions throughout the short film, instead of using just pure music to bring that. I also got some good feedback that the music did help with certain emotions and changes how you feel throughout the short film, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and what is really going on in the short film, always thinking back. So as you can see, on my original plan I had 3 ideas. I ended up going with, obviously, the murderer who gets revenge on their bully idea. I tweaked it a tiny bit, but that's what I went for. So my personal feedback on my own work is that yes, I believe it could have been improved, possibly with more time and more detail into picking my actors, as well as improving the storyline and the dialogue between each character. I think the murder scene could have been drawn out longer, could have improved with showing more anger in the tone, using dialogue that probably would be used in a murder scene, as well as different sort of camera angles. I thought that I could possibly have done more camera angles to cut to during the edit from each scene, as some were very just one angle, one dimensional shots, such as the along the river scene, the river path scene. Yes, I do think I could improve it, but I'm also quite a fan of it. I think it worked well. I like how each character's got their own different sort of depth to them. I especially enjoyed the slow-mo walk of Gary Linsdale as he turns up on the scene, showing he's quite the boss in the area. You know, he's got a cool background to him, everyone knows him, sort of vibe, and that's the vibe that I wanted to give off from the high-ranked detective Gary Linsdale. I think next time when I create a short film, I need to spend more time on working on my storyline and my dialogue as a script. I feel like I use quite basic and obvious dialogue, not really depth to it, and this is probably an area I need to improve on the most, as well as many other aspects of my pre-planning. I feel like when it gets to shooting, I am quite good, especially in the editing areas. I feel like that is possibly some of my strong points, but I could do better with my camera work in most of the scenes in Always Thinking Back, directed by Oli James. So I watched a short film in my research. This helped me show how I could do a murder scene, how I could move the camera to get different angles, and I felt that in some shots I did find that I could use what I watched in the short film that I researched to help aid my own personal work, and I found that quite useful, and that's why research is very key to building a short film and creating a good short film. So my target audience was sort of 15 to 24-year-olds, that age range, and I did some research on that. I did surveys to help me understand what they want to see in a short film and how they live day by day. That's why there's a strong use of Snapchat in my short film, as it is a very popular app used throughout people in the age range of my target audience, 15 to 24-year-olds. And that's why I also posted it on YouTube, because many people in my age range use YouTube, and I feel like that is the best way I could get to my target audience. Say if I was aiming at my target audience slightly higher age range, then I'd possibly post it on Facebook to gain publicity and views to it. But I felt YouTube was the best way to go with that, as it is the most popular platform used within our age range. So I've looked back, obviously, and given myself feedback, given myself evaluation over my work and where I think I can personally improve. But I also wanted to see it from other people's opinions. So I've sent out a survey to a couple of people to watch my short film and also answer 7 questions on it and what they thought of it. The first question I went to was straight in, did you enjoy my short film? And I gave them the options of yes, no, and in areas, because personally I think some areas I could definitely improve, so I would personally answer in areas if I had that question about myself. I had 3 of them say yes and 1 of them say in areas, which I was quite pleased about. I understand the one person who said it in areas, but overall I'm happy that nobody said no, which is a good first feedback. The next question I asked was, what worked well in my short film? I had people saying the music, the use of music, the camera angles used, the story, and that's all about it, which is very good. Everyone sort of agreed that the storyline was good. I agree personally the storyline was good. I felt there could be definite improvements within the storyline, but I think the general idea was a good idea. I also enjoyed the use of music as well as many others, and I also agree that the camera angles were good, but in areas I feel like they could be improved. I wanted to know how I could improve my work and what could I do to make it better. So I asked what would I do differently that would improve it, and I agree with every single response. The use of blood in the knife scene, which could help create more of a realistic effect, as obviously there was no blood, but I could sadly not get blood available. Adding to the storyline, I've already mentioned that in certain areas. Make audio more clear. This is an issue I've had throughout all of my short films. My camera does not have an audio port, so I'm trying to think of many other ways I could improve the audio. I also filmed on windy days, which did not help. I also agree that I could improve my work by colour grading. I wasn't really certain what the best way to do that was, so I thought I'd better leave it natural rather than messing it up and making it look over colour graded. So that is where I think I could improve my own work, and others think they could improve my work. So I wanted to know how people thought the camera work was, and overall I got very good responses, with some people saying steady and well done, good different shots at many times, very good, some shots were really good, and I agree. I definitely think there could be areas that could improve, as I've said many times, but I think some of the drone shots and some of the regular camera angles were really good ones to use in my short film. So overall in this area I'm pretty happy, and it seems like the people who watched my short film are pretty happy. So obviously you've got the camera, which is the key part of any film, but it also matters how you edit your footage together. So that is why I asked my viewers what did they think of the editing. And once again, I got a very good response. People saying everything flowed very well, which is what I was aiming for. Good, the sounds added brought it together, which is why I added those sounds to help bring an atmosphere, bring the energy, and overall make it better with the sound. The editing worked well with the music and camera movements put together, with the cutting to the music really, I thought, enhanced the video and the short film overall. I wanted to know next if the storyline was clear and easy to follow, because sometimes you end up watching these short films and you're not really sure what's going on, who's who, and what's going to happen and why it's happening. So I needed to know that I did create a clear storyline and that was easy to follow. And it seems I have, because every single one of my responses agreed with me that it was an easy storyline to follow, as they all said yes in my question 6, which was the storyline easy to follow? The question I asked in my survey was, what would you rate it out of 10? As ratings is a very key part in the film and TV industry, and ratings mean a lot. So I got 2 7s and 2 8s, which is perfectly fine with me. Obviously they are not 10, which means room for improvement, but I also think there would be room for improvement. But 7 and 8s are also very high scores, but I want to strive to push those up to 9s and 10s if possible for my next production. So overall I was happy with my survey responses, and it's always good to get peer feedback on my work, and that is why I sent out a survey to help me evaluate, as well as them evaluating my work. So this has been my evaluation of my short film that I created for my final major project for the Henley College, called Always Thinking Back, directed and produced by Oli James, starring Lottie and Vincent. I hope you enjoyed the short film if you've watched it yourself.